Welcome to Fireside Nets with Spen and Nick. We are your number one podcast for all Brooklyn Nets talk, reactions, breakdown, celebrity sightings, food recommendations, and so much more. And you know what, Nick? It's not a very fun time to be a Nets fan right now. I have to admit that.
It's like when your political party candidate is like really shitty and you don't want to identify as that political party. Like if someone asked me right now, I wouldn't identify as a Nets fan. Like I'm too embarrassed. So they're like, "Who's your team?" I'd be like, "Oh, I'm still figuring it out." Every team.
Yeah.
I'm the fan of whatever G League team Ryan Terrell is on.
Shout out to Ryan Terrell.
I think he's on like the Motor City somethings.
Do you know I played against Ryan Terrell's brother in a men's league last year?
Motor City Cruise. I think that's the Pistons G League team. I remember you saying that before. Yeah.
Listen, it's not a surprise to anyone who follows this team that this is probably the darkest point of the season. We're on a bit of a losing stretch, Nick. Do you have our record in front of you?
I do, yes. It's 26-42. And over the last 10 games, we are 4-6 with a 3-game losing streak.
Not good.
Currently in 11th place. Now, where we were, I think, a game or two behind the Hawks a few weeks ago, we're now 4.5 games behind the Hawks.
Yeah.
For the play-in game.
The further the season gets, the possibility of the Nets even sniffing the play-in tournament to get into the postseason looks bleaker and bleaker. And there's a lot of reasons as to why that is. There's a lot of reasons as to why we're losing games. And we're going to go over the last 3 games. We'll start with the Spurs game on Sunday night. You know, it was my birthday on Thursday, on Pi Day. Happy birthday to me. The Nets did not win on Thursday. We'll talk about that game as well. But we're going to start with the Sunday night loss in San Antonio, 122-115. The Spurs took it in overtime. And before we even get to the Nets, I mean, watching Victor Wembanyama for however long he's in the NBA is going to be such a privilege for every single fan of the NBA. He is unbelievable. He's a walking highlight. He finished this one, Nick, 33 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, 7 blocks, including the game-sealing block on Dennis Schroeder. The refs thought it was a goaltend. They stopped the game. They go, goaltend. Popovich, who's been the coach for God knows how long, says, no, it's not a goaltend. Take a look. They take a look. They overturn it. Wembanyama somehow got to the ball before the ball touched the backboard, so it was a clean block. 14 of 26 from the field. He only was 1 of 7 from 3, but 4 of 6 from the line. It's nice to be a Spurs fan because they have Wembanyama. And it's nice to be a Pistons fan because they have a nice young core. And even if you're a Grizzlies fan and this season has sucked, you still have a promising future with guys like John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane. But Nick, as a Nets fan, who do we have? What are we looking forward to in our future? I'm not really sure. So we're going to get to the overall just projections of the rest of the season and how we see this team moving forward. But this game specifically, this was a game that if you still want a chance at the play-in, you need to beat the Spurs. Okay, the Spurs were 14-52 before this game.
Well, you talk about Wembanyama, but if you're asking me, I still think I would rather take Taco Fall, Boban, Val McGee over someone like Wembanyama. I mean, I want Ichiro Suzuki, Rey Mysterio, Flava Flav, just guys I'd rather have on my basketball team over Wembanyama personally.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, but he was fantastic in this one. Devin Vassell finished with 25 points. Him and Wembanyama took over down the stretch in this game. So, interesting game. I mean, Nets were up in the 4th, They had a chance to put this thing away. They couldn't do it. Their offense went cold down the stretch. Just when you think the game's really over, Dennis Schroeder, who I got to say, Nick, Dennis Schroeder has been the second best player for the Nets outside of Cam Thomas. He's been our number 2.
Is that sad or is that happy or sad?
It's a little bit of both. I'm a little bit surprised.
Sad
I'm a little bit surprised that he's been so efficient and he's really sort of embraced a leadership role on this team right away. But it's sad if you were a Mikal Bridges fan at the start of the year. And we'll get to Mikal in a second. But yeah, so Spurs come all the way back. They're up 3. Dennis Schroeder hits a huge clutch 3. I don't know if you saw that, but basically the ball is moving around the key. He fake passes to the left. Guy, I think it might have been Keldon Johnson, runs to or Trey Jones, one of those two guys, runs to the left. Dennis Schroeder hits the 3. Tie ball game. We go to overtime. In overtime, Spurs just overpower the Nets. Wembanyama had a few plays, the big block on Schroeder. Here's what was crazy. So the Nets did have a chance to tie this game, Nick. And for some reason, Kevin Ollie decided not to put Cam Thomas in the game for that one play. And now, granted, Cam Johnson got a very good look off. He missed a 3. He's about 16 or 17% in crunch time this year. So I'm not sure why the play design was for him, but fine. You live with that shot. Why isn't Cam Thomas on the court? He's your best player. He's your number 1 scorer. I didn't understand that choice.
I would assume it was a designated play drawn up for Cam Johnson in practice. I would assume if Cam Thomas was on the court, everybody and their mother would think the ball was going to him. And maybe it was they had a bit of a decoy play where you don't really know who's getting the last shot of Cam Johnson, Bridges, Schroeder, those guys. And maybe that was the idea. And if you said they got a good look, they got a good look. That's really all you can ask for. To give a guy who's shooting 16, 17% crunch time the ball, I don't agree with it per se, but they're bad this year. If anything you can do to get your shooters confidence, to build momentum, Cam Johnson's a guy we invested in, that we want to see turn it around, that we want to see start hitting those shots and be capable of hitting crunch time shots. So I respect Ali putting his faith in a guy like that and still giving him a chance to prove himself. He didn't. I'm not surprised. Am I mad at the play? No. Do I think obviously Cam Thomas would have been a better shooter? Yes. But it's hard to say if Cam Thomas was on the floor, could he have gotten as clean of a look knowing who he is, knowing he's that guy, knowing how the Spurs might have lined up against him? They would have put Wembanyama on Cam Thomas.
I think in your answer, you answered the question. You can still use Cam Thomas as a decoy. He doesn't have to be the one to take the shot. But Nick, Cam Thomas had 31 points in this game. He was 12 of 23 from the field. Sure, he was 1 of 5 from 3. So was Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson was 1 of 5 from 3. Nick, no net shot better than 50% from 3. Mikal Bridges had the best 3-point stat line. He was 3 of 7 from 3.
Yeah, but we already know Bridges doesn't want the ball in crunch time. Yeah, there's always been a weird thing with Cam Thomas where it he had to force his way into the starting lineup by continuously scoring 40 points a game. Like, it was almost like he only got put into the starting lineup when the public was like, what the fuck is going on? Cam Thomas is scoring all your points. And it felt like the Nets were like, shit, we should probably put him in the starting lineup because he's scoring so many points now. It's always been weird with Cam Thomas, as if he has forced his hand into playing time, but for some reason the Nets don't want to build around it. It's always felt a little weird with Cam Thomas.
Stop right there. That is there's something weird about that. There's something weird about drafting a guy in the first round and not wanting to build around him, despite him being your most talented scorer. If you listen to some of the sound bites after the game from Kevin Ollie and Cam Thomas, it's a little murky. You know, I don't have him in front of me, but there were some things that Kevin Ollie said that sort of hinted at maybe this wasn't his decision. Maybe this is a Sean Marks, Joe Tsai decision to not have Cam Thomas in the final play of that game. I don't know if it goes that high up. I don't. But something is amiss here. For you not to have your best scorer, the leading scorer in the last however many games, out on the court just even as a threat to end the game. So
I
maybe
agree.
the Nets are trying to lose these games. Maybe there's some tanking going involved, which, by the way, would not make sense because we don't have our own first round picks next year. I don't think we do. And I know tanking has never been an option for us because even if we were the worst team in the league, we're not going to have one of those lottery balls. I think there's another team out there that has our pick. So it doesn't matter how poorly we play. We're not going to get a top 5 pick next year. Just ridiculous. And, we briefly talked about Bridges. So in this game, right, who for the Nets are you not mad at? You're not mad at Cam Thomas. You're not mad at 31 points. He was the reason that the Nets were winning this game for most of the night. Nick Claxton, 11 and 14. Not a bad night from him. It's hard when you're going up against Wembanyama, who's still got 6-7 inches on Claxton. Day'Ron Sharpe, strong performance off the bench, 15 points, 7 of 9 from the field in 19 minutes. You like to see him getting some run at the end of this season. Dennis Schroeder, as I mentioned, the huge 3, 19.7 assists from him. That 3 kind of saved his night because he wasn't having a great night from the field. But Mikal Bridges, Nick, 14 points in 40 minutes, 5 of 16 from the field, a minus 14. It was the worst plus minus on the team. I don't want to hear about how he's burnt out. I hate hearing fans talk about that. This is the NBA. If you're going to be out there, and what do you say?
So you're a professional basketball player. You're in the best shape of anybody in the world. You're telling me what went wrong in this game. You're asking me what went wrong in this game. The only stat line that stands out to me is free throws again. And I said this 2 weeks ago on the show. How are we sub 70 from the free throw line? 13 of 19 from the free throw line, 68%. Spurs 91%, 21 of 23. If you look at everything else across the board, both shot 46% from the field. Both shot about 25% from 3. Both had about 50 rebounds. Both had 30 assists. Both had they had 17 turnovers to our 12. We had 10 more points in the paint, had about the same amount of fouls. Yet we miss 6 free throws and we lose by 7. I can't help but think again, it's this little things that add up that we can't do right. We can't hit free throws. We can't close out a game. We can't hit one crunch time shot. It's very consistent with how inconsistent we are doing small things. So it's getting frustrating in that regard.
I'm gonna say this, and then we can move on to the next 2 games. I watched the Suns Bucks game the other day, where Giannis didn't play, and the Bucks were in control of that game, and the Suns made a run in the third quarter. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Grayson Allen, Bradley Beal actually was the engine behind that run, and they started scoring. They started getting back into the game, and Damian Lillard said, "Don't worry, guys, I got this." And he took over the ball game, and he basically stopped the Phoenix momentum by himself. Him and Bobby Portis were able to weather that storm, and then in the fourth quarter, they just pulled away and they beat Phoenix. The Nets, when the Spurs started to rally at the end of the fourth quarter and they came all the way back and they took the lead, you just had a sense that outside of Cam Thomas and the occasional Dennis Schroeder bucket, there's nobody else on this Nets team that can stop a run from another team or stop momentum. And for me, Mikal Bridges not being that guy is the reason that the Nets keep losing these games. There's no other way to put it. There's no other way to react to these failures. 5 of 16 from the field and 14 points. It's just unacceptable. So that's the one thing I noticed with these great teams. Forget about talent, forget about superstars. They have guys that can say, hey, I'm going to stop the game and I'm going to take control on offense. And Mikal Bridges has not shown that at all in 2024.
Yeah, it's Mikal Bridges, then it spreads the team of they just don't want it bad enough. I see low energy. There's no cohesion sometimes with the offense. I'm not seeing someone screaming at the other guys to get their head in the game. And you look at a team like the Spurs have nothing to lose. They're building around, like you said in the beginning of the pod, one of the most highly talked about, highly publicized picks in NBA history in Wembanyama, one of the most exciting players in the league to watch. I mean, the future is bright for the Spurs. They know they're miles out of playoff contention this year, and they're just trying to get better each game. Where I feel like the Nets are in this weird limbo of like, we're not tanking, like you said, because it's not like we're going to get a lottery pick, but yet we're not pushing for that play-in game as much as we should have because we know we're not good enough to even make a playoff run. So it's like, are we trying to build? Are we trying to make a playoff push? Are we trying to end up making a trade in the offseason? Like, it feels like we're stuck where we don't even know which direction we want to go in, and that's reflected in our play on the court because it feels like we don't have a direction in which we want to play in, how we finish games, how we come together. It's all so discombobulated and it's ugly. And I'm not surprised, like you said, you could see the momentum building. You could see the Spurs wanting it more. It gets to a certain point where you can't even watch because you're like, yeah, I know how this is going to end.
Takeaways from this game. There's 3, and then we can move on. Number 1, if the game goes to overtime, the Nets are going to lose. The Nets do not win overtime games this year. So that's number 1. Number 2, why would you not have Cam Thomas on the court down 3 points in crunch time unless you're purposely trying to lose the game? I don't understand that choice. Kevin Ollie owned it after the game. He said he made a mistake. He kind of said he should have been in there, whatever that means. And then number 3, where is Mikal Bridges when we need him? For the most part this year, he's been absent outside of that one moment against the Hawks where he was great. He really hasn't been there down the stretch in crunch time when the Nets need him, which leads a guy in Cam Johnson to shoot the game-tying shot despite shooting 16% in crunch time. So let's move on, Nick. We're going to talk about the loss in Orlando, 114-106 to the Magic. Orlando was a team that we sort of dominated to start the year. I think we started 2-0 against them. We've lost 2 in a row now. They've been better than us all season. They just weren't better than us in the first 2 matchups. And the Nets acknowledged in that first loss a few weeks ago that they punched them in the face. They wanted to come out with a different energy. Same result, right? The Nets tried to make a run in the fourth. Wasn't enough. They got outscored by Orlando, 32-23 in the third quarter. And it just seemed, Nick, like everybody on Orlando was able to eat in this game. You look at the box score, Paolo Banchero with a ridiculously efficient ball game, 21 points, 6 of 6 from the field. The Magic had 7 guys in double figures, including Markelle Fultz, who had 10, and Jonathan Isaac. Those 2 guys had, and Isaac had 11 off the bench. It just seemed like the Magic were the better team. And again, what's the story for the Nets? Not enough offense. Mikal Bridges, 17 points on 5 of 13. That's not good enough. Schroeder and Cam Johnson each finished with 13. Cam Thomas was the only guy who scored more than 20. He had 21 points, but on 9 of 19 shooting. Just not enough offense, Nick. You're not going to beat a team like Orlando if you don't score enough points.
Yeah, Magic's a good team. Right now, they're in 5th place, 3-game win streak. They're 8-2 in their last 10. It's a game I don't expect to win, especially in Orlando. I don't hate what I'm seeing in the box score, point spread across the board. I think what bothers me the most is the 3-point line. 27% from 3, and the Magic shot 44%. You're not going to win a game getting doubled over on 3-point percentage. Again, it's hard for me to get frustrated at games like this. Magic is a young, up-and-coming team with a lot of talent. The difference between us and the Magic is they have more talent and are like they're almost where the Spurs are probably going to be in 3 years, where they start to build with these young guys, and they're now playoff contenders. So I agree. We didn't do enough. Even fighting back in the fourth quarter was not enough to get us back into this game. But it really came down to efficiency from the 3-point line. I can't ask for much more against the Magic. I mean, I wish we could shoot better, but a game I expected to lose through and through.
Yeah.
I like Banchero too.
Banchero's a good player. 9 assists for Banchero. So if you add that with his 21 points, 18, minimum, that he's responsible for at least 40, 45 points with the assists. Nick Claxton, 10 points, 5 rebounds. You get outscored by Wendell Carter and outplayed, 15 points and 8 rebounds for Carter. The Nets just couldn't get it going. And this Jalen Suggs, just a lot of hustle plays, a lot of effort plays from him. He was cooking in that first quarter. I'm kind of getting deja vu remembering this game. we couldn't stop him from beyond the arc to start. Gary Harris, he hit a few threes in that first half. You get outscored 33-16 in the first quarter. And like I said, 32-23 in the third quarter. Just a tough loss. And we can talk about the stats and the box score as much as we want. The Nets got punked by the Magic a few games before this. And for them to come out and get punked by the same team a few nights later, it's not a good look. It's just not a good look. You need more scoring. Mikal Bridges, just, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Why are you taking 2 3-point shots the entire game if you're Mikal Bridges? We're not going to get to that. We're not going to talk about my birthday. We're going to talk about the Nets.
Some positive,
and we're going to move on.
Nets are bad. People don't want these dooming conversations about how bad the Nets. We just analyze how bad they are. Let's brighten it up. Let's do the.
Well, they're going to get these dooming conversations because, in all honesty, Nick, I had a fantastic birthday, and every single one of my 5 birthday dinners were phenomenal. One of them I enjoyed with you at Minka. Shout out to Minka in Cliffside Park. Fantastic business. Shout out to the Grand Cubano in Englewood. By
Minka Kelly.
It's not. Shout out to the Grand Cubano in Englewood. Shout out to Fiorentini in Rutherford, New Jersey. Shout out to Om.
Actually,
don't shout out. Don't shout out Om. There's two locations. Go to the North Bergen location. Om. And then, shout out to Me Floor in Emerson. Those were the birthday dinners I had. But you know what, Nick?
Shout out to Me Roof. Yeah. I like to party on Me Roof.
That's a good one. We're talking about the Nets. We're going to move on to the Pacers game. So Saturday night, I had a few friends over my house, my apartment, to enjoy my birthday. We tried to watch the Pacers, and it was just like the worst basketball game ever. It was so hard to watch. Mikal Bridges, I know I've been a little hard on him, so I'm going to soften up. He had a decent game, right? Could you read me Mikal Bridges' stats, Nick?
Oh, yeah. Against the Pacers, he had 7 points, 4 assists, and 7 rebounds.
Oh, he had 7 points.
He was 1 for 8. Like he was 1 for 8 from the field, 1 for 4 from the 3.
Yeah. So, there were talks, and Nets fans will remember this, before the trade deadline, where the Rockets were willing to give the kitchen sink for Mikal Bridges. They wanted to trade us a lot of first-round picks. And Sean Marks said, no, we're trying to be competitive. This is a playoff team. We can make the tournament. We can make that final play-in spot. Mikal Bridges' trade value, Nick, is dropping at a ridiculous rate. So, however you want to look at that, if you're a Nets fan, that sucks. Now, I know Mikal Bridges isn't as bad as he's been playing. But then again, if he was better, he'd be playing better consistently. So terrible game for him, 7 points. Cam Thomas, once again, was the high man with 22. That's becoming a pattern in these losses. And I don't think that's Cam Thomas's fault. 22 points for him, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. He did have 5 turnovers. Who else scored in this game? Cam Johnson had 14 off the bench. Trendon Watford with 12 in garbage time. Most likely, Claxton and Mikal were the only 2 starters who failed to eclipse 10 points. On the Pacers side, Siakam had 28. Halliburton had 14, 4 and 7, 4 assists, 7 rebounds. Naismith had 16 points. Miles Turner had 11 points, 7 rebounds. And McConnell off the bench with 13. Shepherd, who I've never heard of before, off the bench with 11. That's Ben Shepherd, the 22-year-old out of Belmont. This was probably the most – what'd you say?
They call him Moses because he's a shepherd.
This is probably the worst out of the 3 games to watch, by the way. This was the least exciting game.
I think Halliburton's a stud. He might be my favorite player in the league right now. Spen just dropped his mic or something. Here's what, I'll find joy in being a Nets fan because when we play a team like the Spurs, we get to watch Wembanyama. When we play the Pacers, we get to watch stars like Halliburton, man. This is what it's all about. We get to watch a young Orlando Magic team, Boncaro, Franz Wagner coming together, Jalen Suggs. That's what basketball is all about. So you know what? As a Nets fan, it's an excuse to watch other teams grow and get better. And the Nets are just the vehicle to allow us to watch these other games. So you know what? Thanks, Yes Network. I get to see awesome teams play. And I appreciate watching the Star is Born Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga. Thank you for letting us witness this greatness as a Nets fan.
Yeah, no, if the audience heard me sigh there, first I dropped my mic and then I sighed because I love that Nick remains optimistic. Nick's a basketball guy. So even if the Nets lose, Nick likes watching basketball. Me, I like watching my team win. And at no point in this game, even when the Nets outscored the Pacers 30-25 in the first quarter, even when that happened, at no point in this game did I think they were going to win. In all honesty, I don't know if it's because I had too many brews on Saturday night or this was just such a boring game. I can't remember any play from this game. And I watched the whole game in my apartment. Just an abysmal outing. Just terrible. I can't.
But you
I
had
can't
a
read
nice
this. Okay,
birthday, and that's what matters.
I did have a nice birthday. So we're gonna move on. We have a quick sort of around the league segment that I wanted to run by you.
Oh yeah, that sounds more exciting.
Did you see the Anthony Black Grady Dick jersey exchange?
Did they hold it up so that it said Black Dick?
Click on the Twitter link because the person who posted this on the Orlando Magic Twitter page was let go.
That's actually incredible. I'm screenshotting that.
Yeah, that was a good one. So for those of you who are familiar with jersey exchanges, Grady Dick gave his jersey to Anthony Black. Anthony Black gave his jersey to Grady Dick, and they stood in front of each other. And because
they stood next to each other.
They stood next to each other. This isn't, we can curse on this. It said Black Dick. It was funny. And there are a lot of names, Nick, that I don't know if Grady Dick should do jersey swaps with. For example, what about James Harden?
That's a great one.
What about Marcus Smart? Yep. There's a few other ones that I'm missing right now. Yeah, just so shout out to jersey exchanges. I hope that guys keep doing this with Grady Dick. I hope that nobody loses their job over this because that's ridiculous. He just took a picture and put it on the Twitter. That guy should still be employed. So screw you, Orlando Magic, for letting the guy lose his job because of Grady Dick's last name. Another around the league.
I'm like just sending this to everyone I know.
Another around the league, Nick. We have to.
Okay, it seems Spen has had some sort of technical difficulty. Now he's back.
Apologize for the technical difficulties. It's I'm producing this podcast like the Nets have been playing recently, so I apologize. We gotta acknowledge that shot by Kyrie Irving.
What did Kyrie Irving do? I don't watch these basketball games.
Kyrie Irving hit probably the most impressive game-winning shot against the Denver Nuggets.
I'm watching it now.
In my life. It was a one-handed running floater with his offhand. And you're never going to see a better game-winning shot than that shot in the history of basketball. And this is coming from someone who despises Kyrie Irving, the human being. I hate what he did to the Nets. I don't like...
That didn't even look like a floater. It looked like he weirdly pushed it in.
I hated some of the messages that he gave while he was in Brooklyn, and I'll never forgive him for that. All my personal bias aside, and I don't know Kyrie Irving. I just know what I've read, what I've seen on social media, and that's not everything. So I do want to point that out. Outside of my personal biases, he is just a ridiculously skilled basketball player, and just, this is going to sound so stupid and so cliche, but having been able to watch that shot, whether you watched it live or you watched the replay, that's why basketball is in such a great place because you just have so much motherfucking talent around the league. Like Kyrie's a veteran. Like this isn't young Kyrie. This is older Kyrie. Like he's up there in age, and you just have so many guys who are skilled and who are going to work on their craft and get better and better and better. And the NBA is just in such a good place. And I don't know. I don't think I'll ever see a game-winning shot like that. A running, one-handed push shot with the offhand to win the game over Nikola Jokic. ridiculous. That was the play of the year in the NBA.
I dig it. I don't like Kyrie. I respect a good basketball move.
All right. We talked about the Nets. We talked about around the NBA. Now we're going to close the show. Nick, but before we do close the show, you have an announcement regarding your comedy sketch show, I Mostly Blame Myself. So for those who aren't familiar, Nick acts, writes, and produces a comedy sketch show called I Mostly Blame Myself. You can follow them on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube page, check them out on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everything. But Nick has a really, really exciting announcement about IBMB that he wanted to share. No, that's not it. It's IMBM.
Yes.
There you go. IMBM. Nick, the floor is yours.
IMDb. That's what everyone says. Yeah, we're going to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in Scotland. It's the biggest performing arts festival in the world. We're performing at the Gilded Balloon, which is a pretty reputable venue, August 20th to 25th. We got to fly about 10 people over there from the cast and crew. So we have a GoFundMe where we're trying to raise $15,000 to pay for everyone's flights and hotels. So if you have a couple bucks to spare, if you like weird, dark, wacky comedy, check out our channel and please consider donating. We got some cool rewards so that people aren't donating in vain. So thanks. Appreciate the time.
Yeah. And I also, I tweeted this out. I tweeted the link. I will post it in the comment section right now. So everybody can click on it. There it is. It's in the comment section. If you guys are feeling generous, you want to help out, my brother, and I don't even think the link copied correctly. So now I'm going to just post my tweet in here so you can click on that tweet. But yeah, really exciting time for I Mostly Blame Myself. Really exciting time for Fireside Nets, despite the actual play on the court. We're still here. We're still thriving. Great birthday week. I got a few more dinners lined up. But yeah.
How many you can't have like 9 birthday dinners.
I got 2 more.
Is that 7 total?
Yeah.
Have you paid for one of them?
No.
Honestly, good call.
Yeah, no, it is. All right. Thanks to everyone who listened, and tune in next week to another edition of Fireside Nets.
Peace out.